Hey everyone, and welcome to my channel. I am Bank Statements, and today I'm doing something a little different. I'm just kind of playing around with software. As you can see, my avatar bouncing over in the left hand corner. Um, I'm doing a couple of things. I'm trying to kind of find or figure out what direction I want this channel to go. And I do want to do reactions and commentary. That is something that I've always been interested in doing. So I said, well, you know what? Let me see what I can do. I'm also playing around with some new software. I'm trying to move away from the StreamYard because that monthly fee, I find that it's at this point in the game for me, it's not paying for itself. And there is a lot of flexibility with StreamYard, but I thought I'd just play around and try some new software. So we'll see how all this goes. But let's get to the main event. The main event was a live that I witnessed the other night. And this live was hosted by According to Allie. This was an impromptu kind of meetup where Mr. Let Him Cook decided to click on the link and come up to talk to Allie. Now, Mr. Let Him Cook, his name is Will, so moving forward, I will be calling him Will. He decided to come up, and he basically wanted to kind of hash out some differences that they have. Now, for those of you who are familiar with According to Allie and Will, you already know the backstory. Anybody else, you're new to this, you're going to be lost. But it's still maybe worth sticking around and watching. The man that you see in the center bottom, that is Marcus from Atlanta Street Interviews. Again, if you are familiar with Marcus, a lot of this will make sense. If you're not, his channel is Atlanta Street Interviews. And they're all tied together in a roundabout way. Okay? But Allie is a commentary channel. She does reactions. And she has reacted on the mother of Will's soon-to-be child. His girlfriend or ex-girlfriend, Marissa, aka West Indy Collection. She is pregnant with his child. So Allie has done reactions on West Indy, extensive reactions, and she's also done some reactions on Will. Now, his channel is called I Am the People's Champ, but he likes to also go by Mr. Let Him Cook. I hope I'm not confusing anyone. But in any event, they butted heads. All three of them, Marissa, Allie, and Will. And Marcus, he's in. Now you might be wondering, okay, so what does Marcus have to do with this? Well, Marcus kind of brought West Indy to the forefront, put her channel on the map. He did a street interview with her. And if you are familiar with his channel, or if you're not familiar with his channel, he interviews people on streets, many different types of people who, I believe for the most part, I don't watch him, I'll be honest, I have not watched many of his videos, but the gist of it is that he's interviewing street people in Atlanta and just kind of digging into their stories. So that's his channel. And the connection is that he interviewed Marissa, and Marissa is Will's soon-to-be baby mom, and Allie is a reactor that, has reacted on their situation both separately and together. So you'll pick up some of that in this summary. So what I did was I took Allie's video, her live, which it started out in the evening, but it went pretty long into the early morning hours. And then Will, later on that morning, when the sun rose, he got on his live and he kind of wanted to, I guess, make sense of why he was there and what he got out of it. I don't have any follow-up as of yet from Allie. Marcus kind of jumped into the fray just as a viewer like all of us, but he did have some interesting points to make. So what I did again, I took both videos, I combined them, I had them analyzed, and I had the whole situation broken down. Now, I did not put any bias in this breakdown. I just gave my magic machine, as I'll call it for now. I just gave my magic machine what I wanted it to do, and it proceeded to do what I wanted it to do, which was to give a summary and kind of give a breakdown of the situation and provide some clarity to anyone who may have missed it. Again, feel free to go and watch both of the lives so you can, of course, create or decide for yourself or develop your own opinion of what happened last night and this morning. But yeah, without further ado, let me get into the recording, or rather what my magic machine came up with.
Wait, let's unpack this. We have been handed two incredibly dense and just really conflicting public narratives.
They really don't line up.
Not at all. And this deep dive is all about that public fallout. We're looking at Will, Allie, and Marcus, and it all revolves around Will's really complicated issues with Marissa, the mother of his child.
That's right. And our mission today is, I think, just clarity, because the signal-to-noise ratio in these sources is, well, it's through the roof.
It really is.
We're trying to navigate this friction between one person's curated self-image, the self-declared problem solver,
right,
and then these very specific, very concrete accusations of neglect, dishonesty, and just misplaced priorities being thrown at him by the other people on the panel.
It's a masterclass in saying one thing and doing another. We're trying to understand not just what happened, but the strategy behind the words. We need to dissect Will's whole philosophy and see how it holds up.
When it meets reality.
Exactly, when it meets the actual needs of his family.
And that strategic unpacking, it starts right away with how Will presents himself. He leads with this powerful, almost declarative self-identity.
Absolutely. He positions himself first and foremost as the problem solver. He insists this is the defining quality of the best people in any relationship.
Any relationship.
A job, a partnership, family, whatever.
Let me do a quick pause right there, because I think it's important to reiterate that I did not build in any bias, but I can't help but to marvel at how spot on that this talk is. And another thing, I just want to be clear, I could not choose the voices. Unfortunately, at this point in time, technology is limited. The technology I'm using is limited, so I apologize. I would have preferred to have more quote-unquote ethnic sounding voices, but it is what it is. But the crux of the matter is that it basically takes the transcript of both of their lives and it critiques it, and then it goes and takes this deep dive. So I find it very fascinating that now someone who may be more sympathetic to Will may feel like it's biased, but believe me, if it's biased, it's going directly off of how the conversation flowed. Okay, and it's taking into consideration even his live by itself. So I'll try not to break in too much more, but I just want to make that point before we go any further.
And he directly contrasts this with what he calls problem makers. He says, pretty confidently, if there's a problem, I'm going to solve it.
And it's an excellent piece of rhetorical framing. It really is. It allows him to set the terms of the entire conversation.
How so?
Well, he presents himself as someone operating purely from a place of logic and solutions. And he frames his appearance on Allie's platform not as, him being defensive, but as an act of leadership.
An act of courage.
Courage, exactly. To specifically address what he calls aggressive opinions and find clarity.
He makes it sound like a civic duty. By airing this all out in public, he's showing the humility and leadership you need to overcome obstacles. But this is where the conversation hits a wall almost immediately.
It does, because his definition of a solution doesn't seem to match the panel's. His main complaint about that panel discussion wasn't about the difficult topics.
Yeah.
It was about the manner in which one guest, Marcus, was talking to him.
He was very explicit about that. He said communication broke down because Marcus was, in his words, inebriated.
From drinking and smoking marijuana, yeah.
And he claimed that Marcus's aggressive opinions that resulted from that just held no value.
Which is, I mean, it's a classic deflection strategy, right? By attacking the source, Marcus's sobriety, rather than the substance of what Marcus was asking.
He tries to invalidate the whole critique.
He does. He basically said a sober mind can have a better understanding. He's suggesting the whole thing was flawed from the start because of a sort of a lack of decorum.
But the source material shows that Allie, she pushed back on that right away. She said, look, she values clarity, but her platform respects that people can have different opinions.
And she dropped the big one.
She did. She pointed out that she'd blocked Will before, not for having a different view, but for allegedly spewing hate and calling people names.
And that contrast is so critical for you, the listener, to grasp. Will says he's seeking clarity and leadership, but his history, at least according to Allie, shows he struggles to tell the difference between a differing opinion and a personal attack.
Or, as he puts it, an aggressive opinion.
Exactly. If you can't handle the aggressiveness of the critique, you can never actually solve the problem they're pointing to.
Which brings us from his philosophy to the hard reality of accountability. Let's look at section 2, where he tries to sort of build a framework for his own behavior.
Yeah, he uses this spiritual framing. He tries to anchor his actions by bringing up the Serenity Prayer.
Changing what he can himself and how he reacts.
Yeah.
And accepting what he can't.
It's a powerful move. It frames his behavior as proactive personal growth, not just, reactive defensiveness.
And he did back this up with some tangible steps. He made public apologies to Allie for things he'd said before.
Right, for talking about her mother and that comment about her forehead.
He admitted he had reacted to a problem in an incorrect manner. So he is capable of taking accountability for some things.
But those apologies, they dealt with his behavior toward a third party, toward Allie. The real high-stakes issue is his accountability to Marissa and, more importantly, to their child.
And this is where the narratives just completely diverge.
This is where that problem solver identity starts to really crack under pressure.
So Will maintains he's a stand-up man, always protecting children, and he claims he has never seen zero food in Marissa's house. He says he's provided a better solution, like offering work-from-home jobs.
And here's where you have to watch the strategy closely. Will is offering a philosophical, long-term solution, job training, self-reliance to what is an immediate, verifiable material crisis.
A crisis.
The panel, especially Marcus and Allie, they just hammered him on the real-world needs. Over $5,000 in back rent. And just
grocery.
for his child.
And Marcus asked that key question. If the needs were met, why did you encourage the public to donate to help her?
That question just cuts right to the heart of it.
It does. If you're solving the problem, why are you outsourcing the solution?
Exactly. And the most damning part was his defense about the food. Will was forced to admit, he said, there's always food there. But then he adds this incredible qualifier.
Oh, I know.
He says it might not be what they want to eat.
That detail says everything. The distinction between food and adequate food for my child it's the whole ballgame.
By focusing on his big philosophical solutions like offering jobs, instead of just meeting the immediate need for nutrition and housing, he suggests he's prioritizing his personal beef with Marissa over his child's well-being.
The problem to be solved is the rent and the groceries. That's the problem.
That's the concrete problem. The philosophical argument with Marissa is secondary. His refusal to just ensure his child has what they need rather than debating the mother's choices, it completely undermines his entire self-declared philosophy.
And if that wasn't enough, Allie and Marcus bring up his past credibility.
Which just erodes your ability as the audience to trust anything he's saying now.
Allie noted he has a history of admitting to previous lies, like admitting to sleeping with Marissa after he had claimed he was celibate.
And when someone in the public eye admits to lying about something personal and verifiable like celibacy, you have no foundation left. You can't accept his current claims about financial stuff, which is way harder to verify.
If he lies about the things he can control, why believe him about the things he can't?
The trust is just gone. The whole stand-up man image, it evaporates.
Okay, let's transition to what led to the biggest problem of all, the pregnancy. How does he square his problem solver mentality with the chaotic decision to have a child in this situation?
Well, he explains it purely through emotion. He says, the heart loves. He dumped it, he fell in love with her the first time I seen her. And he confessed he backslid from his celibacy.
So it's an immediate pivot away from logic and problem solving, right back into emotional chaos.
It positions him as a victim of his own feelings, really. But Marcus and Allie, they immediately challenged that.
They weren't having it.
No. Given Marissa's history, which they point out was full of instability and relying on donations, Marcus basically asked, why would you choose a woman who hasn't shown you those type of qualities?
And then he said that brutal line, you get what you sign up for.
Which forces Will to confront the fact that his actions in this context look less like passion and more like, well, intentional recklessness. He brought a child into a situation that he himself had previously described as highly problematic.
But Will, ever the solutionist, he counters this. He claims he offered his ultimate better solution to Marissa.
Marriage.
Marriage before the baby come first and foremost, and a shared home.
And see, that's another strategic deflection. He's trying to shift the responsibility for the ongoing problem back onto Marissa. He's saying she declined the perfect solution because of lack of respect.
So he offers a solution, but when it's rejected, he just washes his hands of the instability that follows, even with a child involved.
And that created this deep concern on the panel about the new child's future, their safety.
They brought up Marissa's alleged history of calling her older kids names, being verbally abusive.
Which led to, I think, the most revealing moment of the entire deep dive. Allie asked Will straight up if he was worried about being alienated from his new child, given Marissa's alleged pattern with other fathers.
And Will's response?
He declined to answer.
Juice refused to answer the question.
In the context of his problem solver identity, that refusal is devastating. He claims to be proactive, courageous, ready to solve any problem, but when he's faced with maybe the biggest future problem of all, losing his own child, he strategically disengages.
He just won't engage with the logical consequence of the situation he helped create.
It's a total shutdown.
To give a little context, Will did mention his own past, which he seems to use to frame his current goals. He talked about being a working artist, even being homeless for a while.
Right, which he said God told him to do as his assignment after his mother passed.
And that narrative, it provides a powerful backdrop of overcoming adversity. He's trying to show you, the listener, that he's trying to be a better example than what he had.
It gives him narrative authority, but as we've seen, the past doesn't really excuse the present. The question isn't, did he overcome homelessness? The question is he meeting the verifiable needs of his child right now?
Let's shift now and look at the deep irony around communication itself. Will's constantly talking about the importance of conversation, comprehension, language.
He's citing legendary books on dialogue, crucial conversations, how to win friends and influence people. He even warns that wars have been started behind the wrong words.
It's the ultimate contrast between theory and practice, isn't it? He knows the rulebook for high-level communication, yet he is constantly neck-deep in public conflict.
A conflict fueled by aggressive opinions and accusations of his own dishonesty. His actions suggest his real priority is controlling the public's perception of him.
And we know this because he admitted he deletes content. He mentioned taking down videos, like an argument with Allie, because he didn't want that type of content on my platform.
Or because he felt the live wasn't what he wanted the algorithm to kind of pick up.
The algorithm.
That confirms the strategic intent right there. If you're citing how to win friends, you know authenticity is key. But his stated reason managing his platform's algorithm is a clear sign that public branding and monetization are being prioritized over transparency.
He wants the algorithm to see the problem solver, not the problem maker.
And Allie pointed out this isn't just Will's tactic. She said Marissa also deleted videos to hide the evidence of her begging for years.
So we have both of them actively working to sanitize their public image. They're removing evidence that contradicts the story they want to tell.
Which means, for you listening, the absolute truth is probably impossible to find. You're left judging the credibility of two people who openly admit to strategically hiding information from you.
So what's the definition of success here? Will actually claims success. He said because the panel with Allie ended peacefully and was cordial and respectful, he got the result that I wanted.
And Allie did confirm the tone improved. She noted it showed a new level of respect, even if their opinions on the core issues hadn't changed at all.
Which suggests that for Will, resolving the conflict, ending the argument cordially, was more important than resolving the actual problem.
The problem of his child not being fed and housed, yes.
So what does this all mean when we put it all together? The clarity we get is, well, it's complicated. We have to accept that multiple contradictory truths are existing at the same time in this public space.
Will is both a self-proclaimed, philosophically minded problem solver and a man accused of profound neglect by the very people he's in dialogue with.
So what's the key takeaway?
I think the key takeaway is the pattern. Will's strategy is always to shift the focus from the concrete, verifiable details, the rent, the groceries, the past lies, to the philosophical, the theoretical, the emotional.
Leadership, communication theory, the power of the heart.
All of it. The verifiable actions, especially about the financial needs of his kids, those are the fixed points we can rely on, no matter what kind of rhetoric or spiritual framing he uses. At the end of the day, actions speak louder than the titles we give ourselves.
That's the ultimate insight here. And it raises a really important question for you, the listener. Given that everyone involved here, especially Will, is so aware of the power of communication, they know the danger of aggressive opinions. Why do people with this knowledge so often use public platforms in ways that just damage their own relationships and undermine their credibility?
Is true clarity even possible in a world where everyone controls their own public narrative and just deletes the inconvenient evidence?
Something to think about.
That was a deep dive into the messiest kind of public accountability.
Until next time.
Okay, so excuse me. So tell me, what did you think? If you were in the live, and I was in the live, I stayed, actually, her live was, Allie's live was pretty long. Will came on maybe halfway through the live, but the whole 5 hours, I believe, is worth the listen. And I will be honest, I skimmed through Will's live. It was rather long too, but I was working on content and doing some other things, so I was kind of listening in the background. But tell me what you think. What do you think of this breakdown? I think this breakdown is very accurate, being that I was there last night, or whenever I posted the night of the live. I think this breakdown captures very well. Will was ducking and dodging. I mean, there was a point where Marcus said you can't answer a question with a question. And then when Will would refuse to answer a question, he pointed out to Will that, you're declining to answer speaks volumes. When Allie was asking Will questions, he would, I call it like a gish gallop. He would deflect, and he would get in his feelings, as I would say. He would then turn it around and ask her a question. He just basically hopscotched all around her questions. He did start to focus in more when Marcus came on. And like I said in her chat, I believe the chat is still live too with the live, I made it very clear that I felt personally like Will does not respect women. Now, that is a biased opinion, but again, I want to reiterate, I just served my magic machine the facts, the transcripts basically, of both videos. None of my opinions were in that recording or that we just heard, but I found it very interesting that it keyed on a lot of things that everybody, including Allie and Marcus, have been trying to tell Will. And they even pulled, or were able to extrapolate that Marissa and Will are basically the same. They deal in dishonesty and confusion, and you don't know what's the truth from a lie. And it's to the point where, for me personally speaking, it leads me to distrust anything that they say. So if you're familiar with the situation, Marissa is over on her channel saying that she's facing eviction. She's $5,000 behind in rent. I don't know any place or any apartment complex in these great United States that will allow somebody to rack up that amount of money. Now, some people pointed out she's in Georgia and they have basically an eviction, pause on evictions through the end of this month. But prior to that being enacted, she was months behind. And again, I've never heard of apartment complexes allowing you to get 1, 2 months behind taking payment plans and not even file an eviction. I do know that they will file the eviction and it may still take months to get people out and it may accumulate a balance, but they're not taking any actions, none that she's proven. And then Will, on the other hand, claims to not know anything about how much she pays in rent, what her finances looks like, but this ultimatum that he gave her about marriage before the baby, or the solution is marriage before they got pregnant, and it was a lot. It was a lot. So I would just suggest you go back and listen to Allie's live to get more context, because they kind of, once Marcus comes on, Marcus is able to kind of break the ice. He's kind of able to get Will to focus and not be so much at Allie and being combative. Some of that does come back, but even Allie is able to get Will to listen, because I'm rambling here, but these are some things that I just kind of want to point out. Will is just like West Indy, or rather Marissa, to me. They are oppositional defiant. I had a family member who was oppositional defiant, and if you layer that with addiction like alcohol, the brain chemistry is crazy, and that's what Will sounds like to me. If you can't get him to even listen, then you're at ground zero and you won't get off the ground. Now, I found interesting the part of his live that I did listen to. He talked about a book. I think it's Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. I believe that's what it's called. I'm sorry if I'm getting it wrong, but he was talking about how you have to listen. Stop talking and listen. And I found that kind of ironic that I clicked in on that when last night he didn't really want to listen. Now, it was some very interesting stuff said in that live, so I can't hype it up enough. And I really want to give a shout out to Allie for giving me this source material, and a shout out to Marcus from Atlanta Street Interviews for coming in and kind of grounding the discussion. Even though you set it off, Marcus, you set it off. We were making some inroads, and you happened to mention a topic that kind of made everything go left. And if you're listening to this and you want to know, again, go listen to the replay over on Allie's channel. Again, you can see it here on the screen. Her channel is According to Allie. And then again, Mr. Let 'em Cook, or I Am the People's Champ, that is Will. If you want to head over to his channel to see the follow-up live that he did. I'm not sure if it's still up. As the recording I played, he is good at taking things down, taking lives down, him and Marissa. And they'll act like it never happened. So if it's still up, make sure you head over there to take a listen, because he claims, or he states rather, he's on a mission. He's trying to build a brand. He wants to be a positive force out here, and he wants to lead whoever it will listen to him to a better place. But I think that his priorities, he needs to get his personal life together. Unfortunately, his personal life is preceding his brand, and he needs to clean that mess up. And until he cleans it up, people are going to constantly test him and question his authority. And without the authority that he wants, that he's striving to get, he will never reach where he wants to go. So, Will, if you're listening to this, if you found this, I'll make sure I tag you. I'll tag everyone in this recording. I want you to understand that is the problem. A lot of the problems that Allie pointed out, that Marcus pointed out, that people in your chat has pointed out, people have been basically trying to get you to understand. The reason why we know who you are, the reason why the vast majority of your subs know who you are, is because of Marissa. You rode her back into this YouTube game. and now you're trying to switch it up. And the people are not going to let you forget how you got here. And when you have her out here claiming that she's hungry, she's behind in her rent. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. A part of that whole rent thing is Marissa said not only she's behind over $5,000 in rent, but she has no food to eat. And she's pregnant with his child. And she has two other kids that are not his. There's an 11-year-old and a 3-year-old. And she's claiming they don't have food. So that is very concerning to the people. And you're out here buying brand new cars. You said you're leveling up. You always have money. You make money. Yet you got a woman that is tied to you, even if you two are not together, out here making you look bad, bruh. That's the end of it. That's all it is. And I don't know how you get out from under that. Rebranding or maybe ditching this channel and starting new. I don't know what to tell you, but if you want to hang on to this momentum that you're building on this channel, you have to figure out a way to work your current circumstances in and turning this negative into a positive. And you start by not attacking the people who are viewing you. If let's say for example you have a whole focus of your video, maybe make the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes, hey, if anybody wants to come in and talk about the outside issues, these are things I want to put on the table and I want to put them to bed, and leave it at that. Let them get it out. Let them know if they weren't here for the first 5 to 10 minutes, they will be ignored. You don't really even have to block them. You really don't. You just got to learn how you can time them out, or you just need to learn how to overlook them. Maybe it's possible if you can find somebody you can trust, get some moderators, give them the rules. When they talk about things that are outside of the topic, put them in timeout. You don't have to necessarily block them. You have to retrain the audience that you've already built based off of your drama with Marissa. Now I'm just giving you that, and don't sleep on the fact that I'm not monetized and I only have like 50 something subscribers. I have another channel and I've been around that is monetized, and so I understand how the algorithm works. I understand how engagement works. I understand all of that, but I don't want to give you too much. If you really want to learn the game, I guess you might want to look into getting involved with Marcus's mastermind class. He has a mastermind class. They meet every Sunday. I believe he says that it's a nominal monthly fee, and he'll help you grow your YouTube channel. But you got to put your pride aside. And if you're coming up on like Allie's channel, somebody that you saw or perceived as the enemy, to kind of have this kumbaya moment, there must have been a moment of clarity where you realize that you got to do some housekeeping, sir. So continue to do that, and we'll see where it goes from here. And then again, to you, Allie, shout out to you, sis. I have been rocking with you from the beginning of this whole Marissa Begathon that she's been carrying on for quite a few months. I find you very entertaining and engaging, and I would just like to congratulate you on your growth. I don't know I don't know where this channel is going. I particularly just for anybody who's watching, I have done mommy content. If you look at the prior couple of videos, I think they're still up here, that I've done. I like to do reaction and commentary. I do. It's not something that I've been consistent with. And I think that's been more or less because I just needed to find my voice. But I do watch the mommy sector. I'm trying to branch out and look at other things and just kind of do social commentary, because I'm really, really interested in what's going on in the world. and also on social media, because these parasocial relationships that a lot of people are building with content creators out here is fascinating. And so I've been kind of ripping and running between YouTube and TikTok, and I have a lot of content that I want to get out. So if you enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing to the channel and definitely giving me a like if you like this breakdown. I absolutely enjoyed it. I'll be doing more in the future. I'll be even looking at some of the trending cases right now, like legal cases. I have a couple of them on deck that I plan to break down and upload for you guys. So tell me what you think in the comments below. And I'd like to thank you if you made it this far for watching this whole video. And until the next time I upload, have a great day. Bye now.